A special needs school in New York is being sued for running what one former employee called a complete scam that cost taxpayers millions of dollars. Lay this story out. You and I may have similar angles on it. I want to take another track on it. Go ahead.
This is an just start to finish. Every part of this story is horrendous. You have this iBrain school in New York, is what it's called, iBrain. And what they are is it's a special needs school. Give us your mentally disabled individuals, physically disabled. We're going to get them. We're going to give them an education. And finally, eventually, one of the workers there came out and has sued them because they said, among other things, and I'm going to try to get the whole list, but there's roaches and spiders everywhere. There was a dead rat carcass on the floor for days before anybody even bothered to move it. The smell is horrific. The black mold is dripping off of our ceilings. There are roaches in the children's wheelchairs. Oh, and by the way, they're performing illegal surgeries on these students with people that it turns out aren't actually doctors. They lied about their credentials.
Yeah. So what you have going here is you have there's supposed to be oversight here, right?
Yeah.
There's supposed to be regulatory oversight. This goes on apparently for years. The whistleblower described it as a filthy environment. Then she points out that part of the lawsuit, anyway, it still hadn't gone to court, but the lawsuit is that the people running it, the guy running it was a chiropractor. He wasn't even a doctor. And the one person that he had working as a technician was an ex-felon that had been, actually given this job, make sure everything runs right here, is acting as a doctor in many capacities.
Yeah, they gave him a fake name, fake credentials. None of it was real. The guy had, spent a lot of his time in prison. And so the parents who would go and get their children into this place assumed, okay, well, we have doctor number one who owns it and runs it, who says he has perfected this unique treatment, which turns out to not even really exist. And then they've got the other doctor, the former inmate. This guy went to Harvard and he went to all these places. Nope, he went to prison. He didn't ever go to medical school. And then they're getting $235,000 per student from the state each year. This school is. It is a money-making scam.
Well, it is, but which leads you to the problem that is bigger for New York. It's bigger for a lot of big cities right now, and that the regulators. Forget it. There are no regulators. There's nobody watching anything. And it goes to the idea of other things that are happening with the infrastructure in New York. The garbage collection, that ties right into the story. What's happening there? Our regulators aren't regulating. Social services are not working. That's why this happened. Subway services. I mean, we can't even get our subways working without crime problems, without delay problems, without breakdowns. You've got an epidemic of homelessness going on up there. When I looked at this story and when I compared what is different about what's going on in some of these bigger cities, this is it. This story to me is the metaphor for the entire infrastructure. When you have this going on for apparently years, you have it going for years.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's no regulator there, there's no politician there, there's nobody looking at what the hell's going on. It kind of ties into the rest of the things that are going on in cities like LA or New York or Chicago. This is part of the problem right now.
Well, it really is, because an organization like this with this many problems, this many fake credentials, phony surgery, and kids going to the hospital because of the phony surgeries, this should have been shut down after about 6 months. But you've got a city that is so plagued with so very many problems and so few people to deal with them, if they want to deal with them at all, that it's almost, sitting here thinking about it, is that city too big now?
Yeah.
Do we need to break it into two cities to be able to function?
Interesting thing. It was American Experience. It's a PBS show. They analyze the same way you do. You probably haven't seen that, but they came up with an analysis. Are cities reaching this point where this kind of thing's going to happen because there's nobody watching? Like, it's a Mad Max movie taking place right there in the city. PBS, American Experience, it talks about New York City chaos and what's happening there. Why does this kind of case arise? How could this go on where you got doctor who's not even a doctor, he's a chiropractor,
Yeah.
doing experiments that aren't even legitimate experiments with a friend who's an ex-felon living under an assumed name who are taking care of kids, special needs children with mental disabilities. How does that happen for years? It happens because there's a breakdown in the infrastructure. And that I think goes to the heart of this case.
Maybe time to break them up.